Alright guys, how's it going? So it's Monday, and it's actually kind of nice out. So shit happened. Yeah, shit got done. So what got done? The mower jack got done. That's what got done. So, oops, I spelled that wrong, but whatever. I don't really care. So, yeah, just writing down some stuff here. Because I fucked up. Told you that would happen. Shit always fucks up when I attempt to fix stuff. So, yeah, shit done did fucked up, but I was able to fix it for the most part. I took the old drive spindle off. That wasn't hard, but it was hard because the bolts were stiff because they haven't moved since they were put on in 2009 or whatever, right? So I had a hard time breaking them free. I did soak the main bolts that hold the drive spindle in place. I held them with, or sprayed them with PB Blaster and let them soak for a few minutes. I don't know if it helped all that much or not, but yeah, so when I got everything off and I took some pictures and stuff, you know, of how that was more or less just for me. I doubt I'll overlay them in this video. They were just more or less for me, so I had something to go off of. Because obviously I don't have a book or anything. I mean, I can go on the John Deere's website, but I'm not going to drag my computer with me. So, yeah. So I was able to get the old drive spindle off. I noticed that on, it'd be the top side of your deck. That's what you would see. There is a spacer plate there, but all it really does is it acts like a giant washer for your bolts on the top side of your deck. The bolts that you use to tighten it, you know, sandwich it to your deck. There is basically a big giant, whatever the fuck they're called now. Whatever, you know, it's a spacer ring, but you know, it's like a washer. But it's just a big maxi size one, right? And it has holes in it to fit those, what is this, 4 bolts. So didn't know that. So, because you can't see it, because you know, obviously your pulley would be on top of that and whatever else. So I got rid of the old one. We'll take a look at the old one, and then I went to put the new one in, and I managed to actually break one of the brand new bolts that was in those things, because these are pressed in. They're not like welded in or anything stupid like that. So just throw those stupid things away. They're no good anyway. So here's a brand new one that was supposed to be in that drive spindle. I snapped it. How did I do that? Well, because I am manly strong enough that I actually over torqued them and broke this one. So, because I don't know the torque specs, and torque spec is just going to be whatever I can put out. Well, apparently I put out too much because I snapped this one. So I was like, well, can I get one at the hardware? No, these are special bolts. So you can only get these from John Deere. It's like, well, I'm not going to do that. So I went to the hardware and got some extra. He didn't have, so here's the other end of that bolt. So he didn't have, that heard a wonky noise. He didn't have, I guess these are called castle nuts. He didn't have them, but he just had some regular nuts that would fit. So I got some spares. It's kind of a good thing that I did, because apparently I guess I'm missing one. So I'm going to try to see if I can save that nut. I don't know. I might be able to drill that out the center and maybe get I don't know what you freaking call them. It'll break it free. I have some, but try to at least save that nut. So, but yeah. But then I kind of was thinking, well, could I salvage? I really only needed one. Could I salvage one out of the old drive spindle? And well, yeah, I did, but that one was a bitch to get out. I probably could have picked a better one. I think I picked the worst one out of all of them. So yeah, I had to reuse one of my old bolts out of my old drive spindle, which, whatever, because you kind of had to reuse the old nuts because they didn't give you new ones. And this was off my old drive spindle. Still good. Yeah. So everything went back together like it should have. I was concerned about the shaft. This is the old stuff. I was worried about there not being enough, teeth here. And there was plenty there. So now I know in the video it might kind of look like these are really wore down. I don't think they're wore down. I think it's packed with grease because I was trying to clean it, and I think all I was doing was just pushing grease into the grooves. You'd have to really. I should really get a parts washer. That'd be kind of a useful tool. I'm saving this. I'm going to save all of this, even though it's all junk. I'm going to save it because I can rob parts out of it. I could reuse this. There's nothing wrong with it, so I can easily reuse that. I can reuse whatever this is. It came with a new one, but keep it as a spare. Now for the main event. The ugly, nasty drive spindle that looks like she looks like, yeah, she's been the freaking hell and back. I can tell you what. I tell you what. But it's kind of, yeah, there's still lots of parts I can salvage. I think I could even salvage the bearing that's in this if I really wanted to. But, yeah. So, there's the bottom side. That's what you would see. Well, no, this is the top side. This is what would be bolted to the mower deck. I don't know how to even show this. Look at that chunk that's missing. Look at that. There's two chunks missing. You see that? Yeah. I think, yeah, they're both pretty ugly. And this is the one, I think, when I hit the T-post, I think that's the one that I smoked. I smoked that part of it. And here's a new one starting to form. Well, you can see it's kind of broken here. The lighting is horrible. I don't know what to freaking do to give you guys more light. So, yeah. So this one here, she's about to blow. That's what scared me the most, because this son of a bitch was about to grenade. It's cracked here. That's what you guys seen. And there's another little crack on this side. I think it would have been perfectly fine if it wouldn't have been for the cracks, because there's no play in that, in the bushings or anything. So that's what I mean. All this comes out. This one fell out on the new one, and I didn't know how exactly that went in there, so I just pushed it back in there. I think there's a rubber gizmo inside there that holds this in place, barely, but it'll have to just do. But yeah, I can at least rob this of parts if I need to, which I highly doubt I will ever have to ever do. But it's here if I need to. So, like I said, there's still tons of life left in some of these parts, so reuse them. And like I said, I over torqued that one bolt and I sheared it, so I had to pound one of these out, which was a bitch and a half to do. But I got it out. I was actually afraid to pound that out, because this, you knew that this was all weak, given the age and how it's already been weakened, right? So I was like, it's only a matter of time until this thing shoots off. So I had it in the vise, obviously, and I'm like, you know, I'm like standing way back and I'm pounding it, and I got my hand up and I'm just like, you know, shitting my pants, because like, this thing's gonna come flying apart at any second. So getting lots of comments all of a sudden. Yeah, so she was due. She was due. And the new one, I didn't torque it as tight, but I did tighten it, but I didn't tighten it like I used to, like I did with the first one. The only difference they did in the bolts too is that these are flat, and the tips are flat. On the new ones, they got a point to them. I don't know what the point is for, but that's what they had. So, but yeah, that wasn't. I guess it wasn't too bad. So I know what to kind of expect going into the future. But I guess the main thing for me was just to remember how it all went back together. And sometimes I think I do better without help, because sometimes I'll go get my uncle involved, and sometimes I just can't think very well. So I think if I just do it myself, then I think a lot better. So, but I don't know why this is all white for. It's kind of interesting, because I thought this, I mean, this has to be cast iron. You don't think cast iron would turn white like that, but who knows. But something here, yeah, you can see it. Look at how wore out, like how shot that is. Like it's been to hell and back, right? Oh shit, look at that right here. See that? Like it's like been eaten down right here. Yeah, see it there? It's like it's been marring its way down to the main part of it. And I think that's where the bearings inside of that. So this thing's getting wore down. I don't know about the rest of them, but I want to replace the one, because this is the one that looked like it was part of the freaking grenade. Oh, the other ones looked alright. Like it didn't have any cracks in it. So, but yeah. So it does pretty much the same. I will just go now like this. So that is how much actually sticks up on all of them. That's how much actually sticks up. And I guess it's just enough for the pulley to grab onto that. So yeah. So yeah, you put that in there. Well, there's a little bit of play there, but that's just because it's. But I mean, it's all still good. Like the bearings and everything, I think are fine. So if I really had to, I think I could get stupid crazy, I guess, and rob the bearings out of this and go shove it in my new one if I had a bearing fail. Even though I don't know nothing about that either, but you know. Actually, the best thing would be to take this one completely apart and then put it back together, just so you get familiar with it. But yeah, so there you go. That's the old drive spindle. And then you got this stupid little cap guy, which just kind of goes on there like that. And then I guess I didn't take it out yet, but yeah, here it is. This was from the new one. Just kind of kept everything together. Well, we'll reuse it on the old one. There you go. Now that'll stay together, even though it's going to be in a box. There you go. So that's it. She is. I'm not gonna put it in the bag though, because I want the bag. We'll shove her in the box. And then we got the old receipt in here, which I don't need because I got one already. They gave me two. So, $84 freaking for that son of a bitch. And that's another thing too that I forgot. Did it have the part number stamped in here like the new one did? Well, you ain't reading it if it is there. I bet you it probably is. It's got to be. You would have to probably, clean this, and I don't even know if then you would get it clean enough. But we'll keep this with this, even though I got one. But I'll just put it in there. Good enough. So, yeah. So we will hang on to this going into the future. And we'll, what do I do with that stupid pen? I need to get like another building where I can keep all my used parts in, because this is getting to be kind of ridiculous. So 62C, actually C is backwards, whoops, and we'll just put drive, I put a Y, drive old. Alright, and then we'll just, I guess, find a freaking storage place for that son of a bitch. And this is also for the mower deck, but this is just my spare locking nuts. Like I said, he didn't have the Castle ones, so I just got regular ones. I think they'll do just as good. So it's not John Deere spec, but whatever. So, but I wasn't too happy about having to reuse one of the old bolts, but I mean, it was a screw up on my part. So I didn't even know if I was going to get any of those old ones out, so I ran down to the hardware real quick to see if he had any of those, and he said no, because they're a special bolt and you can only get them from John Deere. And he had the regular nuts that would fit that, so I got some regular nuts and whatever else. So like I said, I torqued everything, but not as tight as before, because before I guess it was too tight and I was over torquing everything, and I was a sheared one. So, but that's how you learn. But I mean, to me, when I was cranking on it, torquing everything down, even just into my manpower, it still felt kind of weak. Well, I got to remember that I'm stronger than I guess I look. So, and if I'm on a certain angle, I can really freaking torque her down. So I guess I just over torqued it. So I guess if it comes flying apart, well, then we'll know that it's not tight enough. But I did put some tension under it, and they're locking nuts, so they really shouldn't back out. I mean, they can still technically back out, but I think it's going to be harder for them to do that. I'll check it after. I'll check it right after I mow. I'll check it once right before I mow, and then I'll mow, and I'll make one round of mowing, or I'll mow my yard, and then I'll check it to see if everything is tight. Everything still has to kind of settle. That's another thing too, is I'm kind of afraid that everything's going to settle, and then I'm going to have to take everything back apart again just to retorque it again. So I don't know, but that's why I always like to try to get things a little tighter than they probably need to be. It's just so that I don't have to sit there and keep playing with them. But whatever. It is what it is. At least I know what to do. So if I have to retorque everything, then it won't be such a big deal. It'll just be time consuming. But I think in all reality, if I didn't have that major F up, an hour probably. I mean, if this is what you do on a daily basis, well, then you could probably have it done in 20 minutes. But since this is my first time and everything else, right, I have to really study this and really know how it's coming apart, so I know how to put it back together. And of course, taking pictures helps too. But yeah, and then I greased it. I forgot to grease the shaft before putting it in there, but I did grease it after I put it all together. I shot some grease in there and spun it over by hand. I'll grease it again anyway before I sharpen or before I actually mow with it, because I got to grease everything else anyway. So, and I left that blade on loose because obviously I got to sharpen my blades yet, which won't be done for another month. But I just didn't want a good day like this to go to waste, because you know what? It got like 55, 56, but with the wind, it got it down to maybe 47-ish. But I knew that in the shop or in the garage, if I had the door up, you know, it would kind of heat the garage up a little bit, which it did. I think it got it up to maybe even closer to 60, but then I got hot from working, so then it felt like 90 in there, you know, so, but it's done. It's installed. It wasn't that bad, I guess. It wasn't, even the guy at the gas station said too, it's not that big of a deal. It's just 4 bolts and then your pulley, so, now, so that would be, I don't know if you would really count that as my first repair, because, I mean, I guess on the mower deck it kind of would be, but I know last year I did some painting, but I don't think painting would require, I don't think that counts as repairing. That just makes it look fancier. But yeah, I got to do that again this year too. I got to paint. I got another spot that's rusting, so I got to do that too. Won't be probably doing that for another month because of how the stupid weather's playing out. So, but at least if I can get the drive spindle put in, you know, it's one less thing. So now I think if I didn't shear that stinking bolt, it yeah, it would have been under probably an hour. You know, like I said, I was taking my time too, right? So, it felt like an hour at least anyway. But then I was like, oh, this is way too easy. Everything's going back to way too easy. Well, sure enough, then I decided to put all my man into it and snap the bolt. So, it pissed me off. And they're a special bolt. You can only get them from John Deere. He says that you could have used a regular bolt, but I don't know if I would. I mean, I guess you'd be okay, but I just feel like that would be bad idea, because then you would have technically a gap. Yeah, you would have a gap. Well, maybe you would. I mean, you might have a little bit of a gap there, you know, between the bolt and your part, so it might wobble. You know, the rest of the bolts are all going to be cranked to shit, but I mean, they're all going to be tight, but even if you have a little bit of movement in one, that's going to affect everything else, and that might start wearing other stuff out sooner. So, but luckily I was able to just pound out one of my old bolts and reuse them, even though I'm not happy about it. But that's nothing shocking, because I've always had to do that with anything that I've tried to repair over the years. I've always had to rob parts off old stuff. They fix new stuff that never should have had parts in the first place. That never should have needed to be fixed. So, it is what it is. Unfortunately, it's just how it freaking worked out, but it's over. It's done. I've installed it. It's done. I just hope now it'll hold up. Like I said, I'll grease it one more time, mow my yard with it, and then I will check it after I'm done. And then if I notice some play in some places, well, then I'll have to retorque everything again. So. And then we had a snowstorm, I think it was last week. I think Greasy 6, you got hammered the most. I think you got quite a bit, but we didn't get that much. But we got a lot of wind. And it ripped one of my freaking signs off in my yard, so I had to get another sign. And I just put that up today as well. So, and I'm talking about my place, not the farm. So, but the signs are always easy to replace, but the drive spindle, that was all new territory for me. So, but I'm just glad it's over. So now all I gotta do is worry about it at the first mow to see if it's gonna loosen itself back up or stay tight. So, but I wasn't really too sure on how the pulley was gonna come off. So they got basically just like a big castle nut there too. That's really all that is. But but I wasn't sure how could you loosen it without just turning the whole thing. Well, because I noticed that there were some holes in the pulley. So I was like, okay, well, you gotta be able to wedge something in there. But then I'm kind of looking at the mower deck. I was like, well, there's no hole or anything in the mower deck to slide, a pipe or something through it. So I don't know if it had something to do with that spacer that's on the top. If that was my lock to lock the pulley up so I could loosen the nut. I don't know. But when I shoved my extension into it, of course I have a small one, but shoved it in there, rotated it until it caught something, and then went to be hell on it. So managed to do that, and she pulled right off. So yeah, so at least that could have been better, I guess, but it's all right, I guess. It's good enough. So I just hope that it stays together now. So that's going to be the big $1 million question now, is if the thing's going to stay together or if it's going to fly apart the second that I send all that power to it. So, but what do you do? So we won't know now probably for at least another month, but I didn't really want this, like I said, I didn't want this day to go to waste because it was just way too damn nice out. So sure enough, it was nice enough. I was like, you know what, I'm going to take a risk. And I took a risk, and it kind of somewhat paid off. It didn't pay off 100% because I snapped the bolt, but that's my fault too because I over-torqued it, over-tightened it, whatever. I got to stop, I guess, putting all my man into it, but that's what I'm so used to doing because everything else I do, I always put my body weight into it, and then it's tight. Because some things you can over-torque them and it doesn't hurt them, but I guess when it comes to stuff like this, you can't. So, but yeah, so that wasn't too bad, and it felt smooth when I spun it. It actually felt kind of tight, which I think is normal. I don't remember what that old one was. I imagine the old one would be a little looser now, but there's no play in it, so it's got to be still good. At least you could rob parts off of it if you had to. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to hang on to it. Like I said, we'll use it as a parts machine if we had to. And then, we'll probably never do it, but, it's there anyway, I guess, if you had to. So, but, yeah. So I guess that's it. I want to go in, have something to eat, and then edit this video, I guess, and then call it a day. Because I'm done. So, but yeah, anyway, guys, I guess I'm going to take off. So I guess have a good day and stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Take her easy.